Hello. Hello. I am Alisha Richard, and thank you so much, friend, for joining me today. So today I will be talking about your ideal client. A lot of times as a creative and when you're searching for business terms, a lot of times people say, well, find your niche or find your ideal client or know how to identify your ideal client. Well, I am here to help you so that you can narrow things down so that you can know who you are talking to, so that you can know what your client expects, and so that you can hit those main points so that when it comes to your selling, it'll make selling so much easier. So I created a little something like this just for you all. It's a little workbook, okay? And with this workbook, it is really going to go through every single thing that you should think about when it comes to your ideal client. But before we get into the workbook, let me tell you about the benefits of it. The benefits of this is so that you can think like your ideal client. I know a lot of times as a creative and as a business owner, you are so passionate about what you're doing, but at the same time, you forget about the things that your ideal client wants. So really what you have to do is you kind of got to go back in your head, because with you having your business, you have to go back through your journey. So I know that you may be, like you're highly experienced, but you got to go like all the way back to the beginning of your journey and think about the things that you would have created for yourself. When you are doing your ideal client profile, you cannot just think from your head. You have to think of how your clients think. What would your clients ask? What would your clients say? What would your ideal client react? How would they react to a post? What are some of the main things that your ideal client struggles with? And then when you are able to go back and kind of just go through your journey, then that way when you do a post on Instagram or when you do posts on Facebook or whatever social media platforms, you already know what your ideal client is struggling with, and therefore you can answer the questions. So what I will be doing in this video is going through some of the questions. You can write some of these down, but if you are interested in purchasing the whole entire packet where I literally go through, like really go through these questions, then you are more than welcome to purchase it with the link down below. So the first thing that we are going to go through is give your ideal client a name. And I know that is like, oh my gosh, is she serious? But yes, I want you to name your ideal client. You are giving them a name so that that name can resonate with you and so you can know how to communicate with them. Now, when you do your post, you're not going to be like, whatever your ideal client name may be, you're not going to actually say their name, but you're giving them a name so that it could feel like it's actually a real person. And that's the thing about it. When you are communicating with your brand and when you are presenting your brand, you're actually talking to real people. So I want you to like narrow this ideal client down so much that you even know what the first thing she does when she wake up in the morning. That's how detailed I want you to be. So here are some of the questions that are from my ideal client profile that I do have for you all. I want you all to identify, where does my ideal client live? Because that will say, once you know where your ideal client lives at, then that way you can know how to take your pictures, you can know what to say, you can know, you could just identify so many things, but you have to know where do they live, because the mindset of people are different. They are so different. I'm from the South. Well, my mindset, being a girl from the South, South Carolina, well, my mindset may be totally different from someone else that lives in New York or someone that lives in California. So what you need to do is identify what kind of mindset does your ideal client have and what location do they live in. Then that'll kind of help you to make sure that you market to them appropriately. So say for instance, and I'll give you a little example and then we'll move on. Say for instance, if your ideal client lives in the city, right? She lives in the city. Let's just give her a city like Charlotte, North Carolina. So she lives in the city of Charlotte, North Carolina. She sees buildings. She sees a lot of homes. She's like really, really a city girl. Well, if I know that my ideal client is a city girl, then there is no way that I'm going to be taking pictures down a dirt road. Like, that doesn't match. So what I want you to do and know why the locations matter so that you can know how to market your business. So that's why you need to know, where does this person live at and what city do they live in, and that way you can know how to market yourself. The next thing that is on there, you need to know whether your ideal client is single, is married, or a college student, or what else do I have? Are you single, married, college student? What is the pretty much this is what their status is. You need to know, are you working with someone that is a work from home mom, right? Because if she works from home, then who's providing, who's paying for it? Really, that's the difference. Because if you are marketing to a college student, well, what you would say to that college student and the way that you would price things for a college student would be totally different in how you would price things for, let's say, for instance, someone that's in education that may be a guidance counselor and she's actually ready to invest in her side hustle. So you really want to know who you are marketing to, what is their marital status, and then that way you'll be able to identify your prices. Because if someone husband supports them, then that means that not only the spouse, right, will have to like support you, but then their husband, they kind of need their husband approval too. So that's why it's important to know about the marital status of your ideal client. Just to go through this briefly, if you want to purchase it, you can purchase like this whole workbook. It's like at least 50 to 100 questions. It's a lot of questions on here for you to really narrow things down. All right, so the next thing that is on here, you need to know how many kids, or if your ideal client has any kids. And because this makes such a difference, because you could market yourself and say for instance, your client does have children. You can say, I know you are a busy mom, but my products will make things convenient for you. So think about if your ideal client has children, if they don't have children, if they want to have children, or if maybe they are a foster parent, or maybe they adopt kids. I want you to literally go through all of those scenarios in your head, because that's how you're going to market your business. The next thing I want you to think about is, how much does your ideal client make? Don't set a range, like know exactly how much they make. And once you know exactly who you're talking to, then that way other people will be attracted, but you want that main person. So how much money does this person make? And is this person willing to invest in your business? Is this person willing to invest in the services that you provide? How much do they make? Do they make $50,000 a year? Do they make $100,000 a year? Do they make $25,000 a year? You need to know that. And when you know how much they make a year, then that way you are able to pinpoint how much you should sell your services or your products for. The next thing is, you need to know the educational status of your client. Now, in today's world, I know that a lot of people are doing things online. I know that it's like so many different areas, bachelor's degree, master's degree, associate's degree, no college degree at all, but they're in the self-help and they kind of just figured out how to move up in the world. It really just depends, but you do need to know the educational background of your ideal client, because maybe the person has a lot of student loans. So before they purchase your product or service, they're thinking about their student loans. You know what I'm saying? So, think about their educational status, because that does make a difference in the quality of the person. It does. The next thing I want you to think about is, when you are talking to your ideal client, how would their friends describe them, right? Would they describe them as being a person that's friendly? Would they describe them as an introvert, an extrovert? How would their friends describe your client? And when you know how their friends describe them, you could say for instance, on an Instagram post, girl, I know you are hanging out with your friends, but you are always the one that's shy, and your friends are always introducing you to other people, but it's hard for you to make conversations. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? So when you know who they are, when you know what their pinpoints are, when you know the type of person that they are, then that way you can talk directly to them. You can identify who they are. You know whether they are married or not. And then that way the conversation would be so much smoother. The next thing is, I need you to know when you are doing your ideal client profile is what is your ideal client reading. That makes a difference, because as you are on your journey, some people read a blog post, some people listen to a podcast, some people read audiobooks, some people read Facebook, and some people read posts on Instagram. Some people read blogs, whatever it is. Some people read magazines. What magazines is your ideal client picking up? Is she going to pick up the Forks Over Knives magazine that may be in Target when she's walking out? Is she picking up the Vegetarian magazine? Is she picking up an Ebony magazine? What is your ideal client reading? Or does your ideal client read at all? Or, you know, it just depends, but you need to know those things so that you can know whenever you are doing a post, whenever you are doing your marketing. That way you can literally know if they're going to read all this or not, or should I create a video for them? That is why you need to know who your ideal client is. The next thing you would need to know is, this is something that is totally optional that you can ask them, but how active is your ideal client? And I have all of these questions on the workbook. Again, if you would like to purchase it, it will be a link right down below, and then that way you can purchase it, fill it out yourself, and this is literally going to help you to know how to talk to your client. So the next thing would be, is your ideal client active? Are they active? Are they active in the gym? Do they work out? Do they work out at home? Where do they get their workouts in? This matters because you want to just kind of know the person that you're dealing with. Another question that is on here is, my ideal client hopes for what? I want you to think about what is something that your ideal client is hoping for. What was the last thing that your ideal client or your avatar or your target market, what was the last thing that they Googled? You know what I'm saying? Did they Google how to start a business? Did they Google how to open a consulting business? Did they Google how to open a hair salon? Did they Google how to open a essential oils business, online business? What did they Google last? What did they search into Instagram for the last time? They hope for what? What do they hope for? What do they want? And when you know what do they want, then that way they could say, wow, I am going to use this person's service because I feel like they are talking directly to me. Another question that is on here is, where does your ideal client hang out at? Like when they have leisure time, what platforms are they on? Are they on Instagram? Is your ideal client on Facebook? Is your ideal client on TikTok? Is your ideal client on LinkedIn? Is your ideal client reading things on Reddit or Quora? Or where are they hanging out online? Are they in some Facebook groups that have been created? What that helps you to do is, when you know where they are, when you know where they are hanging out, then that's where you can start pitching people, or that's when you could start creating content on those platforms just for them. You know, does my ideal client listen to podcasts? Does my ideal client prefer looking at YouTube? Do they like both? Where are they hanging out? Where are they consuming content? And then that's where you're going to start creating. You're going to start going on those places, going on those platforms to communicate with them effectively. The next thing that I want you all to do is, this is all in the workbook. You got to get it. You got to get it. You got to get it. All right. So the next thing is, as you are doing things, I want you to think about, why would this person hire you? Right? Why would they hire you? I have several questions why, but I'll just go over one. If you want all the rest of them, you have to get the workbook. But of all the people that they could hire. Remember, a lot of people say that so many markets are saturated. Well, why are they going to hire you? What is your story? What makes you unique? What makes you the best person? Because of all the people that they could give their money to, why do they want to choose you? And that's a question only you can answer. What makes you different from everybody else? And I want you to write it down, because that way, that's going to be a part of your pitch. That's going to be a part of your sales. You know, I'll give you one more example, and I don't want this video to be too long, but or you know, the podcast. But say, for instance, with me being a photographer, right? I've been a photographer for 9 years. Well, when I'm talking to a prospective bride, I always tell her, what makes this company different from everybody else is because we are a husband and wife team. And a lot of times people do like that, you know, my husband and I, we're a husband-wife team. So I would say, well, my husband is normally with the groomsmen, and then I'm normally with the brides. That's a part of my pitch. So that's what makes me different. That's why people choose me, is because they like that one thing that may be a little different. And then they'll say, oh, wow, I liked her because they're a husband and wife team. So think about things that can make you different, that helps you to stand out. And then that way, when it's time for someone to hire you, they'll be like, oh, I want her, and I only want her. The last example that I'll give you is what makes me different, right? As a photographer, think about some of the things that you do that's extra, that just makes you different from anybody else. People started hiring me because I can sing. So I started singing at different people's weddings, right? And then, you know, another bride from another year would say, oh my gosh, I remember that you sung this song. I loved how you sing it. Can you sing it at my wedding? And I would say, yeah, sure. I love to sing it at your wedding. And you know what? I'll take the pictures as well. So those things, those are things that make you different, that makes you stand out. So think about something that you could do that nobody else could do that makes you different. What is your story? What is unique about you? The other thing that I want you to think about is, what are some of the awards that you have been given? I don't care what award it is. Like, you could be the head of the CEO, and you got the head of the PTO, and you got a trophy from your local school. Hey, that's an award. That makes you an award winner, honey. That makes you an award winner. So what I want you to do is put all of your awards here, because when you are creating your ideal client profile, then when you actually have like all of your awards, why are they selecting you? Then that's going to make it easier for them. That brings so much more to the table. The last thing, well, this isn't really the last thing, but the other thing is that you would go through is, I actually want you all to write a paragraph. And on the worksheet, there's actually a paragraph for you to write. And it says, you know, my ideal client name is whatever her name is. She lives in whatever city. Her friends would describe her as this. On a sunny day, you could find her doing this. So when you write the paragraph, then that really, really helps you to just see that person, have a visualization of that person and who they are. So when you are creating your content, when you are doing a post, even when you are doing your brand and photo shoot, you're going to have all of these things in mind, because your ideal client will say, oh, wow, I seen myself in that post. I seen myself, you know, in the content that she created. I seen myself in her. So what you do is you take yourself back through the journey of where you started, or what your ideal client wants. You create all of the content, every single thing that they want, what their pain points are. Then that is going to help you to sell in your business. So thank you so much for viewing this video. If you would like to get the ideal client profile, there is literally a link down below. That way you could purchase it. You could go through it. It took me about maybe 30 to 45 minutes to really go through it, because I really want you to think about who you are talking to. When you know who you are talking to, that's when you could generate the sales. That's when people will start coming to you. You're not trying to talk to everybody. You're just trying to talk to that one person, and that one person will be able to attract others. But you really, really want to niche down so good that you know that one person that you are talking to, because that's who you want. You do not want to attract the person that you do not get along with. Believe me. Believe me. I know the pain of working with people that was not my ideal client. And that part is something that you honestly do not want to go through, because that headache is more of a headache when you get people you cannot stand. And I'm just going to be honest, it is more of a headache. And some people you're going to be like, you know what, this person could have just kept their money because it's not worth my peace of mind. So the benefits of doing this ideal client profile is for you to really, really narrow it down so you can know who you are talking to, so you can know who your audience is, and so you can know how to create content and what they really, really want. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If you feel like you want to listen to the audio version, please go to arichlife.co. The podcast is on all of the podcast platforms. It's A Rich Life. If you want to see the video version of this as well, there is also a video version as well. So however you are traveling, whether through a podcast or on YouTube, thank you so much for finding me. Make sure that you like us and subscribe. Subscribe, write us a review, and leave a comment so that we can know the business that you are about to create. Thank you so much. I am Alisha Richard, and I pray that you are living a rich life, not just in your finances, but in your mind, your body, your soul, and your business. Thank you so much. I hope that helps, and I will talk to you soon.